Hey everybody, Thirstaholics, welcome back to the Thirsty Professional, where today we are welcoming Vera Ilnyckyj, business coach for women solopreneurs. Why don't you go grab a cuppa? We'll be back in a minute.
Welcome to the space where truth is poured. No corporate scripts, just tales explored. From passion quest to purpose found, the thirsty professional breaks new ground. So fill your cup, let's have a chat about careers, life, and all of that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Thirsty Professional. This is a place where we grab a bevy, we ditch the BS, and we get real about careers, purpose, and passion. I'm your host, Beth Ann Campbell, former corporate queen, now full-time author and podcaster. If you are out there watching live, let us know that you're here in the comments, where you're from, and of course, most importantly, what are you drinking? If you're watching the replay, give us a hashtag replay. And of course, let us know if you have any questions, thoughts, feedback, so we can address it during the live stream or after if you're watching the replay. All right, I'm going to bring out my very special guest today, and as I do her introduction, so you can see her lovely face here. My very special guest today on the Thirsty Professional is Vera Ilnyckyj. Yes, Vera helps women solopreneurs create a genuine, fulfilled, and positive life through their business. Oh, that's just the sound of that today. Her approach combines the spiritual and the material in order to create impact and income. Vera believes that we're not meant to be on this journey alone, amen, which is why she is committed to uplifting others in the community through her Mastermind Success Collective, one-on-one coaching, workshops, retreats, speaking, writing, and social channels. Oh my God, you are a multi-potentialite, Vera. Please welcome Vera Ilnyckyj. Vera, welcome to the Thirsty Professional.
Beth Ann, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
It's my pleasure. And I was just telling you earlier how you look so lovely in summery, even though you are in Calgary. Is that in Alberta?
It's in Alberta, yes, in
Yeah,
Canada.
in Canada. Yeah. So usually when you think of Calgary, we think of, well, Canada, we just think of cold.
Right,
So,
right.
but
It's getting to be spring though. It's really nice and sunny today. We've had snow this week, so we're having quite a late spring.
snow that's
So we've had snow this week. I think it's going to actually snow next week, but that's just spring in Calgary. We're really close to the mountains, so we have really variable weather, and we're kind of used to it. But I think everyone's really ready for spring, so I'm just excited about the sun today.
Yeah, me too. Are you is skiing a big industry in Calgary?
Oh
Because
yeah, huge,
yeah,
huge. We're about an hour and a half from the mountains, depending where you live in Calgary. So
nice.
we're really close. There's a couple of really nice ski hills near us. So yeah.
That's awesome. So I have a kind of a strange question for you, but sometimes when I have guests on, I look at their names, and oddly enough, in this case, I'm thinking of your first name, because you have your last name. As a former Wesolowski, I can attest that it's sometimes we don't know how to pronounce them. But Vera, which I love the name Vera. But do you ever get people like just completely bastardizing your name, either written or verbal? And like, what's the weirdest thing that you've ever been called?
Yeah, all the time, right? And it's not just my last name, which you would think that that's kind of where most of the problems are, and it is. I mean, that's usually where people just don't know how to pronounce. They look at all the vowels, and I've been made fun of my name like my whole entire life. So I've kind of learned to just let it roll off my back. But yeah, my first name, people tend to hear the V and just say things like Verna or Victoria or Veronica. And I'm like, it's not like nothing to do with Vera. So it just always reminds me to slow down. I'm very particular and intentional about getting people's names correct.
Same.
And even if they seem easy, I'm always asking, like, is this the right pronunciation? How do you prefer to be called? Because I know how it can be kind of hurtful when people don't really take the time to learn about your name and how to pronounce it, right?
I so agree. When I worked in corporate, especially, I would get people. So I was always, if there repeat people, they know I've talked about this so much, but I was in the system for most of the places I've worked. I've been in the system as Elizabeth, but I don't go by Elizabeth. I go by Beth. Basically, most people, Beth or Beth Ann in my business world.
Mhm.
But I would get people just would call me Liz. And then sometimes I would correct them and just say, no, it's Beth. And then literally like either the next email after I've corrected them or in the same meeting, sometimes I would get called again Liz a lot. I guess people just think if you're an Elizabeth, you're a Liz, but a Bev once because somebody misheard me and thought I was
Oh
a
my gosh.
Bev, not a Beth.
Oh my
So
gosh. Oh my
but I
gosh.
agree. I think if, and if I ever would see somebody's name was, hey, you've got a call from Thomas. I'm not going to call him Tom. Philip, I'm not going to call you Phil unless you tell me. I mean, and I'll ask,
Mhm.
do you go by Thomas? Yes. Cause people are, I called my former boss, my last former boss, Dave, um, over and over and over again, and everybody called him Dave. And then one day we were at a team meeting, and he just mentioned that he was a David. He always went by David. Like, see, you have to ask. Anyway,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
somebody else from Calgary is showing up here too, drinking water. And I am so sorry. Sometimes LinkedIn doesn't tell me who you are, especially if we're not connected. So, LinkedIn user from Calgary who is drinking water, thank you for being here.
Yes,
And if you
hi.
can tell us who you are, maybe it's somebody that you know. Vera, I wanted to just, most important thing, what are you drinking? I have,
Well, I'm drinking coffee this morning because it's 8 a.m. here, just after 8 a.m. So it's still pretty early, but I'm like with you. I love your mug. You have Believe on it. Mine says Be Awesome today. So I love big mugs. So this is why I think we
yes, me
connected,
too
Beth.
for this. Can let me ask you, is my believe backwards or is
It's
it forward?
backwards.
Is
Yeah.
it? See,
Yeah.
I'm
But
gonna
I
have to
can
fix
read
that.
it. I'm smart enough to know what it
Yeah,
says.
if you've watched Ted Lasso, one of the greatest shows ever in the world.
Totally. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, so
I
sorry
love
about
that.
that. I thought I fixed that. I'll have to fix that
No,
because
is mine showing up backwards?
yours is showing up backwards too, but you know
Yeah.
what? Your name is correct,
Yeah,
and
so is yours.
I'm gonna have to go check and see because maybe it corrects it on the video.
I
I don't know.
never know like how to like set up my video so it shows the right way. So sometimes
I
it's
know.
backwards, sometimes it's forward.
Same.
But
I
anyway,
can't
this says
remember.
be awesome today. So just a good reminder to be awesome. We're
I
awesome
love it.
today.
Well, because that's in cursive, which some people watching might not be able to read. So
Oh my gosh,
I
totally.
love it. I love it. David Medina is also joining us. David,
Oh,
a friend and also recent guest.
awesome.
LinkedIn
Hi.
user. Yeah, sorry. LinkedIn user is it Cherie or Sherry Teed
Oh,
drinking water?
fun.
Yay.
Yay. Hi, Cherie.
Thanks for joining. Yes,
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was Cherie because you Canadians have that French influence, which I just love.
Yeah.
All right, Vera, before we get diving into all the things we're going to talk about, let's let our audience know, if you could, what do you do, who do you serve, and where's the passion in what you're doing right now?
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of things, Beth Ann, so I know we're going to get into that a little bit more. But who I serve is women solopreneurs. And I love working with women entrepreneurs. They're very creative, they're very ambitious, they have lots of big goals. But the big challenge that I see with women solopreneurs, especially, is being an overwhelm, having so many ideas. That I hear that all the time. Like, I have so many ideas, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do first, and I just don't, I don't have a clear picture of where it is that I want to go. And I love helping women get really clear on their goals, on what's important to them, on what works for them in their business, so that they can create a really thriving, beautiful business that supports the lifestyle that they want. So that's who I serve, and I'm really passionate about that. I'm also really passionate about bringing women together in community, because I've always done that. I've always wanted to connect to women. I think it's really important to have people that are supportive of us, that are in our corner, that we can relate to and have conversations with. We're meant to do things together. And I know in our society, we tend to be programmed about like the individual, and do it yourself and the self-made person and all of this stuff. And yes, at the end of the day, you are the one that has to do the work to get things done, but we're not meant to do things alone. And when I started my business 4 years ago, I felt really isolated. I mean, I'm like you, Beth Ann. Like, I grew up in the corporate world. I spent 25 years in corporate Calgary. I had teams. I always had people around me. I had people tell me what to do, all of that stuff. And then I started my business, and I was sitting in my office talking to my dog like a crazy person, and feeling
like every other entrepreneur.
like every other entrepreneur. But I felt alone, and I knew intellectually that I can't be the only one feeling this way, but I wanted validation. Like, I wanted to talk to someone else and say, like, hey, Beth, I'm like, do you ever feel like this? Right? Or is it normal to feel this way? Is it normal to feel confused or up and down? Or, what do you use? What platform do you use for this thing, kind of thing? Right. And so I just wanted a support group for women. And I kept saying that to my coach. I wish there was a support group for women entrepreneurs, but, kind of like AA, but for women.
Right.
And after I said that the third time, I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to create my own group. And it's been really amazing. So I'm really passionate about community. I'm really passionate about supporting other women. I'm really passionate about helping women create what it is that they want to create, and doing it from a place of purpose and confidence and energy, and really following what it is that's on their heart and in their as part of their intuition. So I'm really passionate about those things.
Oh my God. So many things that I wrote down here. So first of all, that the starting a business and feeling alone. This is something that for me, and I don't know if you were the same having a corporate background, but it's like I almost felt guilty about wanting to be with more people, because especially coming out of the pandemic, when I was working from home long before the pandemic. That was just the setup for the company I was with. But certainly the pandemic brought a lot of people at home who loved it. Not everybody loved it, but I think a lot of people, I think probably most people I know loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, they're going back to work, and it's almost like I almost feel guilty talking about the importance and the need for many of us to have those in-person relationships, or those communities outside of that, because I don't want it to be perceived as, well, you want everybody just to go back to work. And like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm very much an advocate of working from home for anybody, entrepreneur or corporate, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just a weird dynamic. I don't know if you ran into that, if you've ever run into that, like that. Like, I don't want you to think that I'm telling you can't work from home and be
Mm-hmm.
alone, but I don't know. Does that ever come up?
Yeah, I don't feel guilty about it. I feel that we need to be able to control what works best for us. And I think that's the thing with corporate that can be really challenging, is that there's a structure there. And it's like, you must
Yeah.
be in at this time, you have a half an hour lunch, and then you must leave at this time. And I think that's what actually isn't congruent with most people, because we have different energy patterns, we have different priorities, we have different things going on in our lives. And a lot of, a big part of why women start business is to be able to design their days that's going to really support them. What I've found, though, is that we're so conditioned in the corporate world that we start our businesses. And I know I felt this, right? Like, well, I'm here at 9 o'clock, right? Or I felt guilty if I wasn't at my desk at 9 a.m., right? And so I was still part of that thinking, like, oh, I need to work 8 hours a day, and I need to be at my desk at this particular time, and I need to work 5 days a week. And it took me a while to actually unravel that. And that's one of the things that I help women tackle as well, because they have this like preconceived notion of what their day should look like and what they should be doing, versus what's actually aligning with what you want, and B, your life and your energy and all of the things that go on with designing your life, right? So
It's so hard. Even now, it's been almost 3 years since I was kicked out of corporate, thankfully, but made the decision not to go back, and that was just life-changing, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. But still today, even when you're talking, I'm thinking I have those feelings like, why do I feel guilty if I sit down and eat breakfast and then take a half an hour to just, whatever, maybe watch something on TV or sit outside with my dog, and I go, oh shit, it's getting to be 8:30, almost 9 o'clock. But I feel like you probably work with a lot of women who, like myself, and I didn't even know that this was even a thing. I had such a strong identity linked to my corporate life, and I again, still to this day, I still find myself saying just exactly those things that you talked about, in my head because I'm still that corporate. You don't spend 23 years, which is what I spent in corporate, and not come out of it like, okay, this is all I've known.
Mhm,
So,
mhm,
I don't know. I mean, do you find that it's hard for women to break out of that structure and like I
mhm.
have to be here 8 o'clock or whatever, 9:30. God
100%.
forbid.
100%, because it's really hammered into us. And we're, especially if you've been in corporate like for any length of time, it's like you kind of become little like soldiers, right? In terms of like, this is what you do, this is the expectation, and you kind of just let someone else take over like your own decision making for a lot of things,
Yeah.
which can be good in some ways. We all need structure and boundaries and things like that. But at the end of the day, and I find, most of the women that I'm working with are also in midlife. So we're hitting perimenopause, we're hitting empty nest, right? Like we're hitting all of these changes going on physically, emotionally, and in our life. And it's kind of like, why am I doing this thing? Like I've never even really thought about what it is that I want or what's important to me or how I best operate. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is that from age 20 or whenever you started work, you've never really thought about, well, what actually works best for me. And we never really had a choice, because
Yeah.
most jobs were, you had to go somewhere, right? You had to go into work, you had to do your thing. I mean, we need to work, we need money, we need to be able to support ourselves. So you kind of just did. But then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, like around age 40, right, you kind of start questioning all these things. And it's like, why am I doing this? And that's the biggest thing, is like unraveling all of that and then just tapping into like what actually works best for me and learning about that, because there's
Yeah.
no one a size fits all approach. And I think that's the biggest thing. We all want this like, well, just tell me, tell me what
Yeah.
to do. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to give you some tools and strategies and advice, but the biggest thing is tapping into yourself. And I think that's where women have the most challenging time, is tuning into here,
Yeah.
because it's been so deconditioned out of us. Like, don't listen to your intuition, just do what I tell you to do. And there's all this noise telling us, what needs to be, what's the right thing. And it's like, we need to just be able to tune that out and tune into ourselves.
I never even really thought about it. I was today years old when I really thought about what you just said earlier about how we have those decisions made for us, even if we're, because when you first said it, I thought, what, are you kidding me? But I thought, no, you're absolutely right. As much as I was a go-getter, the whatever, all of the A players out there who are just, working hard, and yeah, give it to Beth. She can do anything. But I never had to think about when I showed up for work. I never had to think about, all of these other parameters that are already set, which, probably was a good thing. I don't know if I had to make those decisions, but sometimes I do try to imagine what an amazing epiphany it is for the night owls of the world, because generally business hours are so set up for morning people, right? And that's why I loved it, but I had people that worked for me who would show up at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, because their bodies were just different, and all of the manager types and the so-called leader types would get really mad. And but it does make you think, like the structure of corporate life is really set up for a certain type of a person, and if you don't fall into that, even when you do fall into it, it's difficult. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think about all the night owls who, decide that they're not going to go back to corporate, and they go, "What? I can start work at 11 in the morning or noon?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing."
Yeah. Yeah. And it's time structure is one thing that we're conditioned to. And we need a structure. I mean, it's not like you can just we can
Yeah,
talk about that. We can't just free flow it, right? You
but it
need
can be
peaceful
our
time
structure.
structure.
It doesn't
It
have
can
to
be
be
our
someone
structure.
else's. Yeah,
Yeah. But it's
yeah,
also the general structure of like, what do you want in life, and like what do you want to do, and what do you want to pursue. So it's like it's like the bigger structure too, is like breaking free of that, because we've kind of been told like this is the way that things are done. And I feel like now in the world things are shifting. Like, okay, just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean that it's what I want, or it doesn't mean that it's the appropriate thing, right? Or even the right thing. So I think it's just realizing that there's a structure there, and then deciding for yourself whether you want to be in that structure or how you want to change it. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, coming out of corporate, and actually even before that. Like I realized this, about a decade and a half ago when I was going through a divorce, in terms of like, oh, wait a minute, like I've just done whatever everyone's told me to do because I thought that was the quote unquote right
Right.
thing. And I never really had control of my life. Like I never really, sure, I thought I was making decisions, but they weren't really what I wanted. They were just choices that were given to me, not
Yeah.
like, but it was kind of like, here's a choice, like do this or do that. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to make a decision. Well, no, it's not really making a decision of how you want to live your life when you're presented with things, versus
Yeah.
like there's a blank slate, you create what you want. Like there's a difference between those things.
Yeah. And sometimes you're not even given a choice, but yeah, I there, for anybody out there who is in corporate, who is thinking about, and like me, was just scared shitless to, because it is like, it is the golden shackles, right? You're shackled, but
Mhm.
there you get a lot of, it's stability, and there
Totally.
is a price to freedom. And I really thought for
Mhm.
many years when I wanted to get out that I wasn't ready to pay the price for that freedom. But once I made the decision, because the cost of that not freedom, of this chronic stress and just the physical toll it was taking, I
Mhm.
just realized that it was well worth not having the big paycheck. And I'm respectful of anybody out there who isn't in a position, but I will just say, if you have a dream and you want to get out, there is a way to do that. So,
Yeah,
um,
100%. I agree with that.
yeah,
And I think there's lots of great corporate jobs. I mean, if
yeah,
that's really what you want, I work with people who are in corporate and are scared to make a change because
mhm,
they're so, they feel so tied into, well, but they pay me well. I'm like, okay, but you're not sleeping and you're not healthy and you hate what you do and it's a toxic environment. So it
yeah,
can't just be about the money, whether you stay in corporate or whether you leave. Like you really need to do what's going to be best for you. And I get it, it's hard, economically we need to make money, but there's always a way to like break free of that. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job and just be out. Like that's scary, right?
yeah,
And that's maybe not even like that's not always the best thing to do or the most practical thing to do. But having a plan of like what you're going to do to get out of it, versus just being so tied into like, but
yeah,
I get paid well and I have benefits and no one else. And it's always like, but there's other opportunities to make money. There's other companies that pay well too, that aren't toxic.
yeah,
So it's just having that conversation with yourself that there's always a choice. I remember being in a really toxic environment. Like, I hated this one job that I had. I mean, it was terrible. Micromanagers, toxic, like backstabbing, the whole 9 yards. Everything I did, nothing went anywhere. Like it was just this totally like useless position. And I knew that I couldn't be there. So I was looking for something else, right? Like I was like, okay, I'm going to look. But in the meantime, I'm like, I need the paycheck. So let's just be practical. But I decided one day, I'm like, you know what? I can't live like this where I'm feeling just so shitty every single day. And I decided two things. I decided that every day I'm going to learn something new, and every day I'm going to help someone. And it didn't matter how big or small the learning was, or how big or small the help was. And I had a little sticky in my note. Did you learn something today? Did you help someone today? And that was where my mindset went every single day. Okay, how can I help someone today? And that could be like giving an extra tip to the barista at Starbucks, or it could be asking a colleague if they needed any help. It could be smiling at someone, giving someone a compliment. And then what am I learning today? So then your brain is focused on those positive things versus like, oh shit, here we go again, being yelled at, right?
yeah,
So it's like you can decide how you're going to show up in the world, even if you're in circumstances that aren't ideal. And then you have a plan that is going to get you out of there. You know that this is not a temporary thing. But in the meantime, what can you do to make your life better? Like you have
yeah,
control over that. No one's telling you have to,
yeah. Well,
just
and
because you're
mindset,
in a
I think
shitty environment, right?
mindset a lot is too, that was one of the things that after I left corporate, I started really doing some very structured mindset work and learning about my part in what makes that bad. Because honestly, I didn't work until really the last year. I wasn't in a toxic environment. Yes, there were executives and upper managers and leaders who were dicks, and I used that. I podcasted. I wrote books about it. But I mean, the first 10 years of my corporate career, and my first boss, who was my boss for 15 years, I'm still friends with him today. He's amazing. He was an amazing boss, but
Mm-hmm.
that didn't stop the overwhelm. That didn't stop the long hours because too many projects, because people up on the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I should have stayed. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I I so love that you talk about your sticky note of learning something every day. What did you learn today? Because I used to have a couple of sticky notes, and I probably still have one here somewhere. And it was in my office, and it said, "This is just the positive mindset versus Beth Ann Campbell." It said, "Don't be a bitch today, dot dot dot, unless you have to."
Right.
That was my reminder. My reminder was
Uh,
not, be a better person. Oh, that did come later. That did, and I love what you said about if you have time. I know a lot of, especially women, don't have the time. You've got kids and you've got, other responsibilities. But man, I took every opportunity I could get when I started smelling like, and this was 3 or 4 years before I stopped. But I was working on the side stuff. I was working on writing. I was working on
mhm.
podcasting. So, like
There's
you said,
time though, Beth Ann. I
yeah,
don't buy into there's no time. I have clients who have kids, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're a spouse. If something's important enough to you, you'll do it. And I see that over and
true.
over again. And in my own life too, right? I remember having a coach a number of years ago, and I was still in corporate, but I was also doing coaching. And I was like, I don't know, I don't have time, like blah, 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 all those excuses. And she's like, how much time do you think you need to like work on your business, like to create some content and do some business development, things like that. And I was like, probably like maybe 5 hours a week is kind of like what I said. She goes, okay, so how can you find 5 hours out of your week? And like, she let me sit with it for a bit. And I was like, you know what? I could probably get up an hour earlier because it's that important enough for me. So
Yeah,
it's like, where can you find the time? And we spend so much time scrolling on our phones, watching Netflix. Like there's always
embarrassing.
time for those things, right? And don't get me wrong, I love my Netflix and I love to just unwind and watch something that's brainless. But the thing is, like, there's always time to have that hour or 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. I've seen it over and over again. Like if people really want something, they're gonna do it. And especially when they know it's gonna help them get them. Like this is why it's important to have like your why and like having a dream and a goal and like actually giving yourself permission to have that. I think that's actually where that excuse of like I don't have time or whatever, I'm
Yeah,
too busy comes in because haven't given yourself permission to really realize what it is that you want and feel worthy enough to actually go after that. I think that's really the sticking point
yeah,
for people, especially women, right? It's like, I can't do that. That will never
yeah.
happen.
I
I'm not
completely
worthy enough.
agree. I believe that there's an undertone of great fear in being successful, that we
Mhm.
are just so, because I know that's happened. That's been a part of my journey is, what is stopping me? Well, it's fear. What happens if I am successful? And I don't think
Mhm.
that the answer is anything bad. It's just we
Mhm.
have it's the unknown, right?
Yeah,
Or
no one.
I won't have time. We make up things. It's just facts and stories, like just like we do it with everything in life. We just make up shit wholesale
Yeah,
to
yeah,
justify doing or not doing, or reacting or not reacting in a certain way. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, 100%. So I want to talk a little bit about, because I know community is so big for you. Can you tell me a little bit about the communities in your life right now that are making things great?
Yeah. Well, I do belong to my own, like I have my own communities. We'll talk about that, but I'm also surrounded by other communities, like you said. So I invest in myself. I have a coach. I'm part of a big group coaching program where we actually meet every day. So our teacher, has a 20-minute lesson every single day. So that's a massive community for me because it's all about mindset and it's seeing people
Mm,
get massive success. And you're surrounded by people who are just doing really amazing things. And not necessarily the same business as I have, but just the same type of mindset of wanting to grow and improve and step into this next version of yourself. And so that's been super powerful just to have that that community and also have someone that can really help you through that. I've created my own community, like I was mentioning. So a number of years, 4 years ago when I started my business, feeling really alone. So I started my support group, which has now turned into a membership community. Because me being me, I was gathering all these women together for a coffee, but I didn't want it to just be a coffee. I wanted it to be specific. Let's talk about business. It's not social. Like, we're here to support each other and we're here to learn from each other. Because I was walking into a lot of networking events and seeing all these brilliant women, and I was like, oh man, if I could just tap into some of their wisdom, even just for a few minutes, that would be so fabulous. But at networking events, that's not really the point of a networking event.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just want somewhere where we have a space where we can talk about business. And if you're having a down day, or if you're feeling low, or something's not going well, that's totally okay. Like, come and ask the question, have someone help you.
Oh my
and
God.
if you're feeling good, come too, because you're here to pull someone up.
Yeah, somebody else might need your insight and your wisdom and your experience. I love that. I love the mastermind kind of concept where I don't, there's something to be said for, here's a a teacher or somebody who is the expert. But I just, maybe because of all the times I got lectured as a child in school, I just love it when other people provide input to a greater problem. I think it's amazing. Is this community that you set up, does it have a name, and is this in person, online, both?
So it's called the Fempreneurs Success Collective, and it's in person and online. So I started it in person, here in Calgary, and I'm growing it because I keep getting signals from every time I'm like, I think I'm just gonna cap it and it's gonna be just what it is. I keep getting signals from, no, you need to keep growing it. So I'm growing it. We get together once a month in person. It's fabulous. It's facilitated. There's always some individual reflection prompts about your business or mindset, or kind of like a little worksheet to do. And then we break out into small little groups where that's exactly what it is. It's either having conversations about business, or asking for support, or just getting really curious as to how you can guide or, provide some wisdom for another woman if she asks for it, that kind of thing. But it's really about not feeling alone and crazy in your business, and having the opportunity just to ask different questions. And it was really cool. And actually, and then we do it online as well. And so we're looking to, build it out online as well. But I had a cool experience at our last online. I had an email the day after from one of the girls that showed up, and she's like, thank you so much for putting together this community. I was having a conversation with, so-and-so, and she just asked me a question. And they have two completely different businesses, like not even in the same realm of business. But this one woman asked the other woman just a curiosity question that got this other woman thinking and broke her free from some of the stuckness that she was feeling in her business around a particular topic. And she's like, I just so appreciated, like, can you please pass this along to her, because I really appreciated her question. But I was like, this is why I started this community. So it's not about networking. It's not about getting business. It's happening anyways, because organically it happens. And when we build relationships with people, business happens. That's just how it works. But the whole intent is to just learn from each other and support one another and have a different perspective, because we all have different experiences. We all come from different backgrounds. Like, that's the powerful part, is that we can all learn. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, or what your business even is, or any of those things, because you all have a different perspective. And I think when you're in your own business, you're kind of like in the jar, right? You can't read the instructions, right?
You've got your biases, your narrative that is for you. And it is hard. It's almost like when you were describing it, it almost sounded like a living AI, where, it's like you want people or something that kind of takes away all of that. You have, as the person who's maybe experiencing something, you have this, again, the narrative that brings you here, the identity that you have built over these years. And it's hard to look outside of that. And we tend to, I feel like I do, and I've seen this in others, where we get a little stubborn about, oh, what could you, but then when you get people with other perspectives who aren't burdened by your own personal narrative and your experience, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God. Cause I have a couple of, this happens all the time, whether I'm maybe in a networking breakout room, or I have a small handful of really close friends that I meet with regularly. and they will tell me what I need to hear. And I'm constantly finding myself going, that is a great idea. Why did I not think of that?
Mhm. Mhm.
And just like when I use AI for analysis, it's like it just tells me in instantly
Yeah.
what I probably would have come up with in 6 months and
Mhm.
wasted all that time. So I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What do you think is I had a couple things that I wrote down. When you have women that are first coming into a community or in your life, what is the do you find that some of them have a sort of a reluctance? Like they're here because they want help, but there's always something holding people back. But my experience with communities, and I will just say this is mainly with women, I know so many women out there, for example, who complain about I can't find friends as an adult. How do I find friends? And somebody needs to start a group. And so then at one point I just started a group because I was one of those, like, I need to meet people. And then it was just crickets. Like people were like,
Mm.
yes, I need this. Let's go. And then once they're there, it's like they can't think. They really need somebody to literally tell them what to do. They can't think. They can't go like, let me just, schedule in a coffee chat with a bunch of women.
Mm.
They really
Mhm.
just, and so it just ended up shut down. So I don't know if you have experienced that where women or your clients or in your community come in and they say and they mean it, but
Mhm.
something holds them back.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's asking for help, or it's like actually saying that you need help and being vulnerable about it. I think that sometimes can be really
Yeah.
challenging. I've been very intentional about creating a space that's very, I call it, it's a safe space, but also a brave space. So it's safe in the sense that you can show up as you are. Like there's no judgment, it's inclusive, like there's no criteria other than, you're a woman entrepreneur, or you want to be an entrepreneur, or you're curious or whatever. But there's no criteria per se. So it's safe in the sense that it doesn't matter, right? The kind of day you're having. But it's brave in the sense that we're also going to encourage you to do the scary, hard thing, but we're here to
Yes.
support you and encourage you and share our own stories of vulnerability so that you can feel less alone in doing this thing that you feel scared about. So that's kind of the experience that I have. And so I'm very intentional about welcoming women in and having a somewhat structured approach to the community setting so that it's not just like a free for all. So I'll do like the conversation starters, and some women are really good about starting conversations and being and sharing, and other women need a little bit more guidance around that. So having a little bit of both, I find, has been really helpful. And the women that have been around for a long time, like they're the same, they're the same mindset. Like I decided 15 years ago the kind of women that I wanted to be surrounded with. This is when I was,
Yeah.
going through my divorce. I'm like, this is who I want to be surrounded with. These are the types of women that I want to be with. This is how I want to be in the world. And I have to say, Beth, I'm like, it's pretty rare for me to get someone who's not a nice person coming into my
Yeah.
orbit, right? I
I
just
think
tend to
that's
attract the people that I want to attract because I'm
yeah,
just so intentional. I just know who I want to be there. And then I
I
think
love it.
like attracts like. And there's no coincidence that you and I ended up in that same networking breakout group. Out of how many people, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't believe in any random things or coincidences, but if you think about statistically, like
Yeah.
we ended up in that same small little breakout room, and we had this instant connection. And it's because that like attracts like, and when you're really intentional of what you want, it's going to come to you, and you don't know
Yeah.
how it's going to come to you. Like I had no idea I was going to meet you through Heidi's group that one day,
Yeah.
right?
But I
But it
love that,
happened.
but you're so right because I think part of it too is that we get to a point, and you talked earlier about, getting to 40 and things changed. The 40-year itch is what I used to call that. But I think we reach an age where we do have a little bit more of that confidence. It may still be uncomfortable. It's so important to be uncomfortable. Discomfort is the
Mhm.
gateway to growth. But the intentional part of it is, were we, universally attracted, or are you just the type of person, maybe a little bit of both, who just isn't going to entertain, the guy who comes on with the heavy bro marketing, or the person who just seems to really not care about being there, or maybe they're just in a personality type. Because that's me. Like I will try to be in those types of network groups and breakout rooms, I'll try to be interested in, something that, but if I start asking somebody something that's, true to who I am, meaning I just like to talk about whatever, and I'm interested in hearing about you, and somebody is really not picking up, or they go into a client pitch, I just know, okay, you're not my people. And
Right.
I've had to be very deliberate with this podcast. I don't say yes to everybody.
Right.
Not by a long shot, because I have a lot of people who go, oh, okay, podcast, but they're just not the right people. They may be very great people, but they're just not right for my vision and in my life in this sphere. So I love that intention. So
And
important.
being clear on that, Beth Ann. Like, you're clear on who you want to have in your life, who you want to
Yeah.
have on your podcast, who you
Mhm.
want to work with. And it's saying no to we need to learn how to say no as much as learn how to say yes. And when you're clear on what you want, it becomes so much easier to say no to the things that don't fit that. And then the yeses are going to start coming in. Right. But yeah, it doesn't mean that all the right people are going to come in all the time. It's for you to decide, but I'm going to block them.
Yeah.
If the
Yeah.
wrong person comes
100%.
in,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to get emotionally attached, or I'm not going to try to change myself. Or this is the big one, and I totally get this, is saying yes to the wrong client because I need the money.
Yeah.
And
And
I
I'm not
totally,
gonna
I
feel
mean,
guilty about it. I'm not
yeah,
gonna I don't when I go into a room or I meet somebody new, I don't feel guilty about I don't want I'm never mean, but I don't wanna, give somebody false hope, and I am the person I am, and if I can sense in my, 50 plus years of experience that somebody's not gonna be one of my people, my life's too short to entertain, people who I know are just gonna come in and pitch, or they're just not gonna show up, and that's okay.
mm,
You know what? You do you, boo. But,
mhm,
but
mhm.
yeah, I will just kind of automatically block those out. So it almost feels like, God, I meet all these amazing people, but I know I meet even double, triple that, and I just like, it's nice to meet you, but I think this is the end of our
Yeah,
conversation, and that's okay. Nobody out there should feel obligated to engage with somebody who isn't a good fit for them, however, whatever that means to you, for sure.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
So I asked you earlier about whether your community was in person or online, and
Mhm,
you said it's both.
mhm.
Do you have a preference? Because I know in this world of working from home, I talked earlier about the guilt of like, what I don't know if I'm not saying that I don't love online, but I do feel like there's something for me very important about in-person interaction, and it's different
Mhm.
for everybody, but I don't know
Mhm.
if you tell me about how you feel about that in-person versus online.
Well, I think we need both. And in today's world, we have technology. So let's use technology for good. You and I never would have met if Zoom hadn't existed.
No.
Right. And so it's such a beautiful thing to meet people outside of your locality, your geographic location, and also to do work virtually, like online, right? Like, so I have clients that are outside of Calgary, outside of Canada. We can do that. I can
Yeah,
build a business
so
based on
important.
that. You can build a business based on that. So
Yeah,
I think virtual, like, let's use the tools for something for really good, but we need the in person. Like, we're human beings. We need the connection. And there is something different about walking into a room full of, especially like in my community, it's women, but I can give them a hug, right? They can hug each other. There's a different energy. You can read body language differently. There's not this, like, when you're online, especially with a group of people, it's a bit stilted. Like, you have to facilitate things differently, and it's more
yes.
structured and that type of thing. So yes, there's a skill set to it, and it's great. And I've met awesome people online. We just talked about you and I meeting,
Yeah.
and I've created amazing relationships with people that I probably will never meet in person just because of the way that things are
Logistics, yeah.
logistically, right? But so I think we need both. But I think for people who are, especially for solopreneurs, like, we're at home so much, it can be really easy to get stuck behind our screen, and it feels safer in a way. Right.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of women that say, I don't know, like, what do I, like, I don't know. I'm not really feeling really comfortable going out. I don't know what to say. I've kind of lost that skill of being social. And I'm like that, we need to fix that, because we are, like I said, we're human beings, and we need to learn how to be with people together. And back in the day, this is how we lived. We lived in community. We had circles as women. We would cook together and
Mhm.
clean together, and raise our children together. And that's how we learned. That's how we shared. That's how we vented our frustrations. That's how we actually felt this connection. And I feel like in our today's world, we're very, as much as we're connected from a technological perspective, we're actually more disconnected than ever before. And the statistics on loneliness are like atrocious. Like, they break my heart. The number of people that if something happened to them have no one to call, like,
Wow.
is
Yeah.
completely, like, I don't know how that's even possible. And that I'm like, no, I'm going to play my small little role in that, in making sure that any of the women in my community, whether they're members or not, because they've left or whatever, or they don't feel that this is the right thing for them, like any woman that I know, like I want her to know, like, there's a community here for you. Like, if something happens, like if you need help, like just reach out. Like, you are not alone.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think people need to understand. And you can't only do that online. Like, you really have to go into the world
Yeah.
and learn about your community, support other people, put some real pants on, as my business partner says, right? And just go out and, like, be with other people, because that's how we actually get nurtured with energy. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, doesn't matter. Like, we need the human touch. Like, we know the studies of babies that don't get held, like they
Yeah.
don't grow
It's
up
not good.
properly. They don't get developed. And we need that as humans, as adults too. Like, we definitely need that as adults. So
I
I'm
think,
for both. I'm team both.
yeah, me too. And like I said, that's probably the biggest thing I miss about corporate. But I do think that one of the reasons why there's such hesitation with a lot of people is because when you are just a solo person and now you have to go out and seek other people, it is much more uncomfortable than when you are in, for example, a school, a college, or a workplace, especially a workplace with any number of people. You've got these big pools of people already there, and you can kind of start to. Because I remember when I was I was in the same school from kindergarten through graduation of high school, and it was a very small graduating class, and I had this pool, and I had people that I related to better. And then I went to a big university for a short period of time, and it was like, now I went from, like, 60 people to 30,000 people, and I was just amazed at the pool. And I could now really, really have a lot of people to pick from not that they necessarily would be reciprocating, but you would meet a lot of people, a lot more people that fit with what, we talked about earlier, the ones that you don't block out. And then you go to a workplace and it's the same thing. You've got a pool of people, and yes, you may have to work with, 100 people, but maybe there are two or three that are really, like, I've friends today, really close friends that I met at work. Now you leave the workplace and you're in an entrepreneur situation. And for me, I craved it. I miss it. I still do miss it, but it's a lot harder to go out and seek those people. And I think this is what I experienced with these women who were so enthusiastic. Now you finally get a coffee chat or a brunch together with a bunch of them, and you realize, yeah, I don't know that there's even anybody at this table who maybe, you get along and they're great, but maybe you're thinking, but nobody here is my people. So now I have to go out and find a bigger pool. So I think that's a part of it, is that we've been in these situations with that structure that you talked about. And I think it's a lot easier when you're in that structure, or less uncomfortable in that structure. We just don't know how. We never had to do it. Who
I
has to
think
go
we
out
don't
and
know
say,
how.
yeah,
It's a skill set though, right? Like, I always say, like, networking is a skill set, building relationships is a skill. Like, you can learn it. Like, if it's a
yeah,
skill, it means you
for
can
sure.
learn it. And I mean, that's enough. As an entrepreneur, I mean, you have to put yourself out there. Like, I don't care what you do,
Yeah.
what business you have, you need to put yourself out there. You need to meet people. So if you don't have that skill, you need to really learn that skill. And it's finding people that are, like, in a supportive environment. And I think using technology to find that, like, everyone's posting on Eventbrite or Meetup, like, or on LinkedIn. Like, there's no shortage. Like, I don't know about where you are, Beth Ann, but I know in Calgary, you could go to, there's two or three networking events per night in Calgary. So if someone tells me I don't know how to meet people, I'm like, No, that's not
Yeah.
true. You don't want to meet people. Like there is no excuse. There's groups for every single niche. 50 plus, women, LGBTQ, like people who love travel, people who love small dogs. Like it goes even if smaller and smaller niches, you name it, you can find it. They're advertising on Facebook. Like you
Yeah.
can actually, search for these things. What the hard thing is like actually telling yourself, I'm going to go and do this, because
Yeah.
it's the fear of like, it goes back to like our core wound. What if they don't like me?
Yeah. It's rejection. Yeah.
It's
And
rejection.
if you're in a place, because I live in a smaller town, but I'm surrounded by, and if you don't have all of those groups, I guarantee you, if you were to advertise and say, hey, I'm putting together, let's have a meetup for women who are new entrepreneurs, whatever, pick your criteria, you will
Mhm.
have so many people responding,
Yep,
because I think the need is out there. It's just
totally.
maybe, maybe no one has just decided to
Maybe
do
no
that.
one's done it, and I think too, you need to really dig deep and get over the fear and just do it and be like, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm gonna go. And if it's not the right people, you can leave. Like no one's
Yeah.
forcing you to be there, or you try a different group. There's multiple things that you can try. So I think there's always different options, right?
100%. Vera, have you written a book?
I haven't written a book, but sorry if you can hear my dog. Of course, now she's
That's okay.
barking.
I have one too.
No, I haven't, but it is one of my goals this year is to write a book, and I've started writing the book, so it will be coming out at some point with that.
Exciting. Can you
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about what your book is going to be?
Well, it's about taking control of your life and having authority over your own life and being a leader in your, like, it's all about self-leadership. Like, how can you be a leader in your own life and make the decisions that are best for you and tapping into what it is that you want and being really confident in that.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are getting a little bit close to time. Do you have time if I put you in the Thirsty Professional confessional?
Sure. I'm a little bit nervous, but okay, let's do it. It's Friday, so let's have
Nothing
some
bad at
fun.
all. Nothing
I'll
at
have
all.
another sip of
Okay.
coffee.
Very quick questions. What is the best beverage, Vera and Ilnyckyj? What is the best beverage?
Like
And
for
it
me or just in general?
for you, and it doesn't have to be alcoholic, but if your best beverage is alcoholic, that's fine.
Well, I do love my coffee, but if I am going to have a drink, like an alcoholic drink, it needs to be on a beach in Mexico or Belize, and it would be a margarita. Just a regular classic margarita with a salted rim is my fave.
So location would be key to
Yes.
that
Yes.
as well.
It has to be on a beach somewhere.
I'm more of a pina colada. I really love the flavor of the coconut in
Yeah.
a drink, but I don't really drink a whole lot. And my best beverage would be milk. I know, it's crazy.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. Your office, cluttered or clean?
It's pretty clean, actually. I don't like clutter, so it needs a little bit of a declutter, and I'm actually thinking about redoing things a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty clean. I'm
It
pretty
looks pretty
organized.
neat in the background, but a lot of
Yeah.
people's do. Like, I'm neat in the background, but I have a lot of shit going on up here. So,
Mhm, mhm.
what is the best book you've read, fiction or nonfiction, in the past 6 months?
That is a good question. I just finished reading a little while ago The Correspondent, which was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a series. It was told through a series of different letters and emails. So it wasn't like a traditional kind of like book, but it was all, the story was told through like emails
Yeah.
and letters. And so it was really interesting.
That's getting very popular. There's a word for it, and it starts with an E, and I don't know what the word is, but there's a word for
Mm,
writing when you're using in the forms of letters, and a lot of people
mm,
really like that.
cool. Yeah.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I really wanted to be a teacher. That was always
Aw.
on my list. I wanted to be a teacher. And the interesting thing is, I never did go into education. Like, I'm not a teacher, but what I do in my business is a lot of like teaching,
Similar.
right? Similar in the sense that I get to like share my experiences and really help people learn things. That's really my big thing. So it's interesting how
Yeah.
you kind of life just kind of winds you in different ways, and your decisions and stuff take you to where you are. But I'm doing something similar to that. So yeah.
I love it. I wanted to be for a while, well, a singer, but and then a neurosurgeon. So maybe the
Oh,
singer
wow.
a little closer to what we do now. But
Yeah, probably.
All right, next question. If you could not live and work where you currently are in Calgary, where in the world would you love to live and work?
Mm, probably somewhere. I'm gonna say I've got two ideas. So I would love to work in like somewhere warm, like Mexico or Belize. Would
Yes,
be probably
amen.
one of my top choices. If I'm going to stay in Canada, probably somewhere in the Gulf Islands. So on the West Coast, somewhere where it's like mild weather and by the water.
Yeah, I concur. But I also have this weird calling to like Nova Scotia area.
Mm,
So maybe east side for me. Not as temperate, I don't think, but just I don't know. Something about one of these like fishing towns or
mm.
even Maine, USA, just very appealing to me.
And for me, somewhere near the mountains, like would have to be in the mountains. So also like we have a place in a little small town in British Columbia, like the province next door. So I'd probably just hop over there actually if I couldn't work in Calgary and just work there.
Do you feel I've heard people say this before, so I'll ask, do you feel when you go someplace away from the mountains, does it feel like you're exposed? Or do
It's not that
you
I don't feel like it's not that I feel exposed. I feel not as grounded. So when I'm in the
Interesting.
mountains, I feel really grounded, and especially if there's water, if there's a lake or a river or something nearby, then I feel really grounded. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same about like beaches. I like the mountains, but I grew up in Michigan and Michigan's got hills and some sort of, large hill, very, very tiny mountains in
Mm-hmm.
areas, but it's because it's Great Lakes and there's water everywhere. I feel like water is my grounding.
Mm-hmm.
Name one famous person you'd love to have a coffee chat with.
Mm. I think, and of course her name is escaping me. Oh my gosh, she's an old Helen Mirren
Oh, yeah, I love Helen
because
Mirren.
I think she's like 80 and she's just doing amazing work and she's just like doesn't give a shit and I love her confidence. I think she'd be
I
really
I
fascinating to talk to.
I love her too. I've seen her. I mean, of course, in many things, but just kind of a no BS. And another person who just came to mind that I never thought of, but there's a British actress named Miriam Margolyes. I don't know if you've ever seen her. She was in Harry Potter,
Okay.
and The Age of Innocence. She's been in many things, but she's just very blunt and a little raunchy and just hilarious. But yeah, I love
Hmm.
the wisdom. All right,
Yeah.
final confession. Final confession. Are you currently in your underwear or pajama bottoms right now? Business on top, party, or dog mom or whatever on the bottom?
No, I have like really nice. I have jeans on and I have sneakers, like real shoes. Yeah,
Nice.
I feel like when I do things like
I
this,
don't. I have
that's
slippers on.
okay. That's totally okay. For me, I like, again, wearing like shoes makes me feel more grounded for some reason. And when I do things like this or when I'm coaching and holding space for people, I want to feel like fully grounded and put together. And I
Yeah.
feel when I wear pajamas or my little lemons or something, I feel like a little bit like sloppy, I guess, right? And not
Yeah.
as like on. So I do like to kind of be put together when I'm working.
Yeah. I'm with you. When I do a podcast or if I'm going to have a call, I'll wear, something like this versus I would normally be wearing like I don't know, a pineapple t-shirt or a Hanes V-neck t-shirt.
Yeah.
But I'm usually leggings or shorts, and today's shorts because it's going to be warm. So I get
Yeah,
it.
you're lucky. You're lucky.
All right. So just a few more comments that came in. Eileen, when we were talking about making friends, she says, I get that. My husband's great at making friends off social media. I'm not. And then she says epistoles. Maybe that might be it, Eileen, the word for writing, like if you read a
Oh,
novel, there's some word. I just
right,
heard it the other day, a weird universe moment.
right.
Vera, before we wrap up, what do you want our listeners to know? What do you have coming up? I will put everything, all your contact in the comments. But what is the
Mhm.
best way to get in touch with you?
So the best way is through my website, createyourbestchapter.com. All of my links are on there. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. So you can connect with me in any of those ways. Yeah, and that all of my information's on there. Like I said, we do online sessions for women. We have masterminds that are all online. So we'd love to have you come check that out. But for me, what I really want to say to women, especially women entrepreneurs, but all women, is that you're not alone. It doesn't matter what it is that you're going through, you're not alone in it. And, take that step to reach out to
Yes.
somebody that you connect with, either online or in person. You're going to be amazed if you just say, hey, would you want to go for a coffee? Or I really resonated with your post. Like, would you be open for a 20-minute virtual chat? You will be amazed by how many people will say yes. I'll say yes. So
Yeah.
I know that other women say
Same.
that. And I know you will say yes. So
Yeah.
just reach out, ask for help. And that's how you start growing your community and how you start feeling less alone and less crazy. And that's what we need. We need women who feel energized and empowered and confident, because make no mistake about it, ladies, we're changing the world, and we need to
Yes.
be in community to do that. And you need to feel good about yourself, and you need to be courageous to do that. But we're all in it together. So let's make the world a better place together, right, Beth Ann?
Amen. Absolutely. Well, Vera, thanks so much for being my guest on the Thirsty Professional. I just have been so enjoyed hearing about you and your journey and community. In my next season, I'm going to be doing more panels, and I'm always trying to figure out themes. And I think I need to have a community theme, because you and I think there are some other people that are working to create communities and nurture communities. So hopefully maybe 2027, you'd make a return visit on a
That would
community
be
panel.
amazing. I really loved this. I love your format, Beth Ann. This has been so
Thanks.
good, and I really appreciate us connecting. And I know that we're going to stay in touch. But thank you so much for this today. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Yeah. And thanks, Heidi, for having a connect and collab, because I
Oh,
think that's
Heidi.
where
Yes.
we
Yes.
met.
Heidi's amazing. Yes.
All right, folks. Next week, my very special guest is going to be Mags Thompson. So, through the power of networking, like Vera, I met Mags through one of last year's guests on the Thirsty Professional, Louisa Stewart. Mags is an author and story guide, and so this gets me giddy. Her book, The Ugly Duckling Diary, say that 3 times. Oh my God, very heart-wrenching. Great book. Mags has been a storyteller for as long as she can remember. It began her entrepreneur career in 2013. She co-founded a platform for people who are recovering from emotional abuse. The content that she created for that platform became her book, The Ugly Duckling Diary. Now she helps people capture stories that create connection in their lives and businesses. In fact, I did her podcast. I can't think of the name, but I will put it in the comments. Where she talks about location, and we did a whole thing about a place that's near and dear to my heart, Mackinac Island in Michigan. So I'm so looking forward to Mag's appearance on the Thirsty Professional next week on the 17th. Thank you all out there for joining us. I appreciate you. If you're watching on LinkedIn, please connect if you're not already, both with me and with Vera Ilnyckyj. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. So much appreciated. And if you have any questions or feedback that we didn't get to, leave them in the comments, or you can DM myself or Vera. And then congratulate yourself for getting real about your career, your purpose, and your passion. So now, Miss Hattie Arbuckle, Vera Ilnyckyj, and I are going to bid you a fond farewell. Take it easy.
Fill your cup, let's have a chat about careers, life, and all of that.